So the first ever Arnold Sports Festival and Giants Live collaboration happened this year on October 3rd, Sunday night, where we got to see the Arnold Strongman UK for the first time. Let's have a look at all of the results, but first of all, let's look at what the events were. So we had a Hercules hold for time. We had a frame carry, 400 kilograms for 18 meters. 18, you say? Why not 20? Why not a round number? Well, because it was at the Arnold Sports Festival, so they had to go by the size of the stage or the length of the stage. And therefore, that'll have ramifications later for whether or not people get world records. We then had a deadlift, 360 kilograms, 4 reps within a 60-second time limit on an axle bar. We then had the dumbbell press, 100 kilograms for reps. And of course, the famous Giants Live lighter set of Atlas stones, 100 to 180 kilograms with a 60-second time limit, 5 stones. So who competed? Well, we had Evan Singleton. During the introduction, she was shouting into the crowd, paced the stage a few times before taking his position. He did, for those of you who are wrestling fans, he did the Triple H spit at the beginning. So you kind of hold water in your mouth and like make a exploding fountain of water. It was really cool for us wrestling fans to watch. He's a true wrestling personality and is bringing a lot of positive energy to Strongman. We then have Alexei Novikov, who seemed very excited to be competing. Trey Mitchell, super pumped during the intro, really kind of pumping his fist. JF Caron, who is back at Giants Live for the first time since 2017, so a big return for him. We all wanted to see how he was doing. Mark Felix came out. He's his typical reserve self, not too much crazy energy going on. Andy Black seemed very excited. He's Scotland's strongest man. He only walked into a gym 2 years ago, they said, and this is his first year in Strongman, already Scotland's strongest man and already doing incredible things in the sport. We then had Nedzmina Beskovic, who is known as a deadlift specialist, trying his hat this time at a full set of events. And of course, Pao Dwyer, bopping to the beat when he came in. He did a hop skip during the intro, really kind of enjoying the music and enjoying his time there at the Arnold Strongman UK. And then we had the Stoltman brothers, Luke Stoltman, who came out very excited. He did like a backwards trot sort of moonwalk while he was high-fiving all of the other competitors. And Tom Stoltman, who seemed happy to be there, excited, but not compared to the other guys, reserved compared to the other guys who seemed to be having really big personalities during their intros. And then later on during the show, of course, they had their prerequisite, Eddie Hall, coming out and doing his talk and his commentary on what was going on in his opinions. And he came out with a dog this time, which was weird. But just wanted to let you know. So let's get into the events. First one was the Hercules hold. Tom Stoltman comes away with only 1 point on the Hercules hold. He held it for 43.57 seconds, which is a decent time, but there were just lots of very, very good times here. So he went 8th in the order. His position of his arm seemed a little low for him, which I've seen happen before, and I saw positionings on the Hercules pillars that were higher, so I don't know why they continue to give him positions where he's down instead of straight across, or maybe he prefers that, but just seemed like something that caught my attention there. We then had 2 points going to Pao Dwyer, who went 2nd in the order. He was already shaking around the 24-second mark, but went more than 20 more seconds after that for 45.73 seconds. 3 points go to Nedzmina Beskovic, 47.99 seconds for him. He was the first competitor to go in this event. He had a very solid time. Others, as I said, were just exceptional. He acknowledged the crowd with facial expressions during the performance. As they were cheering for him, he was kind of smiling back at them, really trying to interact. He started shaking around the 40-second mark and then gave out a few seconds after that. 4 points went to Luke Stoltman, so he went 7th in the order out of the 10 guys. His arm seemed a little forward and low, and then after he was done, he's grabbing his shoulder, so perhaps that positioning was to compensate for some pain he was having. He ended up mentioning later during an interview before the next event, the frame carry, that he just couldn't continue. The shoulder was pretty bad. He said, not horrendous, but pretty bad. And it would be smarter for him to just bow out, rest up for Britons, than to go on to a frame carry, which would put a lot of pressure pulling down on that shoulder. Smart move for him, I thought. 5 points go to Andy Black, who does it in 54.59 seconds. He went 3rd in the order. He was kind of looking around, taking it all in. Again, his first year in Strongman. He asked how much time was left around the 38-second mark, and then finished off with 54.59 seconds, a lot more than 38. And then he kind of did like a skip, a hop skip over to his interview. So to see a guy that size skipping was something to behold. 6 points go to Alexei Novikov, the 2020 World's Strongest Man. He went 6th in the order. He was calm and smooth the whole way. At the end, he was very excited. He said this was a PR for him, which he actually said later on about another event as well. So really seemed to have a good time during this contest. He did say he's tired from all these contests and he's going on a long holiday after this one. 7 points go to Trey Mitchell, the recent winner of the Shaw Classic, who manages 65.29 seconds here, so he went 4th in the order. His body looked in perfect position, like he's done this a million times. He said afterward that it started burning around 30 seconds, but he ends up doing more than twice that amount of time, so it's amazing how much further he went. 8 points go to JF Caron, so a strong start for him, 74.27 seconds for JF. He went 5th in the order, seemed in pain, even stretching to grip the things to get started. So I don't know if he has some sort of injury or just not stretched out well, but seemed to really be struggling to even stretch out and grab them. But then he, took the lead when he went 5th in the order. So whatever that was did not seem to hinder him. Evan Singleton went 9th in the order. He was super focused, ends up with an even better time of 78.11 seconds, 9 points for Evan. And then the winner, everyone expects to always be the winner in this event and didn't win it last time, so we were all kind of shocked. But Mark Felix, back to form, 10 points for him, 81.62 seconds. You could see he's a professional at this event, right? He closes his eyes, looks up at the crowd at around the 115 mark, and then you could see the look change to not dread, but different than the calm look. So you can tell there wasn't much left, and he went a few more seconds other than that. So that's how the Hercules hold panned out at the Arnold's UK Strongman. Typical Giants Live fast-paced contest. So in a quick way, let's move on to the next event, the frame carry. Luke Stoltman ends up withdrawing, as we mentioned, so 0 points for him on the frame carry. This research column, as you see here, is the strength rating indicator that I've been putting together for all these guys on how they've done in these events over their career. So Luke, really, really good with frame. This 81.82 rating is out of 100. So if he were to, be in perfect condition, not injured, and would have done this, he would have done really well. So moving on up, Tom Stoltman, taking a look at the research there, not necessarily great at the frame carry, although I haven't gathered data from his whole career yet, but he ends up living up to that rating. 2 points for him, just over 7 meters. He went first alone in this. He tried 2 test picks. They both seemed hard. After he was done, he said he was exhausted from the weekend and wasn't going to push his body to exhaustion because Britain's was really his focus. And I got to say that was a little bit disappointing to hear that sort of approach, right? You can just say it was an off day for me. It didn't go as planned and whatnot, but it seemed like he was blaming it on, I don't know what this weekend means, he was partying or enjoying festivities more than being prepared for the contest. And I get that some contests have a higher priority than others, but the fans came to see you really perform. And, I would just think that if he felt like he wasn't his best, he would have maybe pulled out or maybe just phrased it differently than, I'm exhausted from the weekend, so I didn't give you my best. So that's Tom Stoltman. So 2 points for him. 3 points go to Pa O'Dwyer, who went second versus Nedzmin Ambeskovich. He was out faster, but put it down and was overtaken. So 14.95 seconds for Pa. 4 points go to Trey Mitchell, 13.91 seconds for him. Trey, known for not having the best grip, but there were straps on this one, and I thought he did really well. 13.91 seconds is a fast time here. I thought he moved well here. He went versus JF Caron. He was outpaced the whole way, but again, his pace looked good. He was just outpaced by a faster guy. 5 points go to Nedzmin Ambeskovich, who jumps into this full set of events and is doing fairly well here. So he went second versus Pa O'Dwyer. We talked about that and how he overtook him. And then 6 points go to Andy Black, who gets it in 12.02 seconds, starting to get very fast here. So he went third versus Alexei Novikov. Evan Singleton was out helping him position himself. And this is where we start learning about the guys staggering their arms to keep the frame balanced. So they're not grabbing straight down. When we get to Novikov, you'll see his were really staggered. So when the frame tries to bob one way, your other hand is keeping it that way and vice versa. So they were really holding staggered hands there. JF Caron comes away with 7 points, 9.94 seconds for him. So under the 10-second mark, he went fourth versus Trey Mitchell. No drops, great form, very fast, but said he's feeling his age. So we'll see how his career continues to progress from this point forward. Mark Felix, The ageless wonder, speaking of age, comes away with 8 points here. Does it in 9.75 seconds. He went in the 5th grouping versus Evan Singleton. They started even, but then Evan pulled ahead, even though Mark was still very fast here. And speaking of Evan, he comes away with 9 points, 8.5 seconds for Evan Singleton. You know, an incredible pace. And then you have one guy faster than that, and that is Alexei Novikov, 7.35 seconds. So he did like a short test run before Pa was ready to go, and he put it down basically at the starting position, so the staff didn't really have to do much to put it in place for him. It was really funny. As I said, his hands looked greatly staggered. He was unbelievably fast. They said that it was the fastest time ever, but can't give him a world record because it was 18 meters instead of 20. At that rate, he may have broken a 20-meter world record as well, but they just couldn't give it to him, so that was unfortunate. So that's how the frame carry shook out at the Arnold's Strongman UK 2021. Let's take a look at the deadlift. For those of you always tuning in to see my detailed analysis and my spreadsheets and love what you're watching and want access to them yourselves, I do offer that now as part of my YouTube channel membership level 2. So you can go over to my YouTube channel, click the join button as you see here, and then I have 3 different levels. So level 1 gets you all kinds of customized badges, and then you get custom emojis to use on live streams. You get member shoutouts every month. That's members only community posts, a whole bunch of different behind the scenes stuff and all, just in level 1 at an extremely reasonable price. Level 2 gets you access to all my Strongman analytics spreadsheets, everything I ever create or ever will create. I add links to that in the membership community for that, and then you can be a live guest on my show as well. Just wanted to let you know that memberships are available at extremely reasonable prices, and you can help support the channel that way as well. Now on to today's content. So as we said, the deadlift was for reps. Big Laz, and Terry Hollins came out and were giving their opinions right before this event. There were jokes about how hairy Laz is, and then Colin was so kind of thrown off that he couldn't remember what kind of deadlift it was. It was very comical. So starting off, as we said, Tom Stoltman did withdraw after that frame carry. So 0 points for him. Luke Stoltman withdrew as well, 0 for him. Pau Dwyer gets 3 points. He does 2 reps on the deadlift. He went first versus Trey Mitchell. He stopped after 2, walked away, took off his belt, and didn't do any more after that. Andy Black ends up with 3 reps, and that's good enough for 4 points for him. He went second versus Ned's Mean. 4 reps for Mark Felix, so Mark comes away with 5 points here. And as you can look in my research column here, you can see how Mark overperformed a bit here, although, again, I don't have his whole career in place, or else this rating might be a little bit higher. Andy Black probably performed right around where he should have. Mark went third against JF. He was out faster, but done after 4 reps. 5 reps for Ned's Mean, who continues to do very well for a guy who's never done a full set of events before. Many of these he said he's never touched before. So that was incredible. I think he said he hadn't done the Hercules hold or the frame carry before, and you know, is doing very well here. 7 points for him. 7 points get shared with JF Caron, so he also does 5 reps. As we mentioned, he went versus Mark Felix. He tried a 6th, but it didn't move very much. He seemed out of breath. He acknowledged the fast pace of the show, making him a bit exhausted, but said he would keep going. 7 points also to Evan Singleton for 5 reps, who went versus Alexei. Trey Mitchell ends up with 9 points. No surprise there. Trey, a big deadlifter, 7 reps for him. He went versus Pau Dwyer, and he laid down a huge mark. They actually went in the first pairing, so he laid down a huge mark from the beginning. And then you have one guy better. Incredible. 8 reps for Alexei Novikov. May have even had another one stopped because he knew he had enough. He went versus Evan Singleton. He had a hand adjustment after 3 and then continued motoring along for 5 more reps. It was just amazing. And then again, he says this is a PR for him, overjoyed. And as a fan, I'm very happy for him. That's how the deadlift shook out at the Arnold's UK Strongman 2021. Let's have a look at the dumbbell press. So again, starting off, Tom and Luke Stoltman out with a withdrawal. Ned's Mean zeroed it. He went in the second pairing versus Mark Felix. It didn't seem like it was too heavy, but he just didn't have the technique yet for a guy who's never done this before. So I've tried circus dumbbell pressing, taking cues from pro strongmen and strong women, like Leif Engels, for example, has a great technique. And he had it like this. And so, or Anthony San Lorenzo has a great technique as well. He's a pro middleweight strongman. You have to center your body under it so the center of gravity is lined up, and he just it was out too far. So not too heavy, but the technique not there. Andy Black zeroes it as well, going first versus Pau Dwyer. Mark Felix zeroes it as well. For him, it seemed like it may have been too heavy, and Mark known for not being the best overhead presser in the world. Pau Dwyer comes away with 6 points with 3 reps. Again, he went versus Andy Black. The first 3 looked easy, and then the fourth wouldn't move at all. So it was really, really, really interesting. Hit him in the head a little bit on the way down. He did mention he's under the weather, and then I think Colin Bryce or Neil Pickup mentioning later that he just got over a chest infection. So, and then of course he and Kaz had their back and forth impressions. JF Carone comes away with 7.5 points, 6 reps for him. He went third versus Evan Singleton. He adjusted on the 5th rep and he got it. He said he actually said the 60 seconds are flying by tonight. They felt like 30 to him, and I kind of felt the same way. Not that anything I think is nefarious is going on, but just felt fast. Trey Mitchell, 7.5 points for his 6 reps. He went versus Novikov. And then Evan Singleton, 9 points for him, 7 reps. Evan is an incredible dumbbell presser. Did something similar to this at his last Giants Live where there was a dumbbell press. He's just unbelievable with this event. Does a huge number of reps seemingly every time. And then we have the winner. No surprise, Alexei Novikov, who my research, I have him at a perfect 100 rating on this event. So every time that I've taken data for him that he's done this event, he's won it every time. So 10 points for him, 8 reps. He went versus Trey Mitchell. He wasn't happy with something at the beginning, and this happened on the Atlas Stones as well, where he was like, hold on, kind of thing, hold on. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, okay, I'm ready. So this one seemed to be maybe his mouthpiece, like he was kind of adjusting it in his mouth. Maybe I'm wrong, but an absolute machine on this. So that's how the dumbbell press shook out at the Arnold's UK 2021 Strongman. Let's have a look at the last event, the Atlas Stones. So again, Tom and Luke Stoltman out. They withdrew at this point. Pau Dwyer withdraws as well by this point. And then you have Nedzmin Beskovic, 5 stones in 40.12 seconds. One thing I found really interesting is they asked Magnus Vera Magnuson before the event how he thought it would go. And he said, I don't think many guys will get all 5. And I was surprised by that because it's the quote-unquote lighter set of stones. And guys usually finish or come close to finishing this set. And everybody who did it finished it. So I just found it strange that he would make a comment like that. You then have Mark Felix, who did 5 in 23.43 seconds, a fast time for him, again, but other guys were just faster. Then you have Alexei Novikov, who comes away with 6 points, 5 in 20.55 seconds. He went in the 4th pairing versus Evan Singleton. After being pretty even, he lost some time on the 2nd stone, where I think he was already lapping it, instead of trying to one-motion them like a lot of the guys did. Andy Black one-motioned a lot of them. JF Carone does 5 stones in 19.6 seconds for 7 points. He went 3rd versus Trey Mitchell. Had the lead the whole time, with both of them one-motioning every stone until the last one. That Trey still one-motioned. They asked him later. He said, I thought I had to take the little risk because I knew we were close, so I one-motioned that one. JF did not. He lapped it, and that's where he was overtaken. 8 points go to Evan Singleton, 5 stones in 19.44 seconds. As we mentioned, he went in the 4th pairing against Alexei Novikov. The winner of the stones breaks the points in the event of an overall tie, which we ended up with, which you'll see in a moment. So that becomes very interesting. Trey Mitchell does 5 stones in 18.41 seconds for 9 points. No, he does not win. He comes in second, so somebody did better than him, and that is Andy Black. 5 stones in 18.28 seconds. Threw them all up there like toys. It was unbelievable. It was very easy for him. He one-motioned the first 4 stones, and even the 5th one was not difficult for him. 10 points for Andy Black. Congratulations on winning the Atlas Stones. So let's see how all of that event-by-event breakdown affected the overall standings at the Arnold UK Strongman 2021. So Tom Stoltman ends up with only 3 points after 2 events. Disappointing. I know he withdrew, but 3 points from 2 events is still low. 10th place for him. Luke Stoltman withdraws with 4 points after 1 event, so he comes in 9th place. 8th place goes to Pau Dwyer, who comes away with 14 total points. 7th place goes to Nedzmin Beskovic, who does, fairly well considering it's his first full set of events. Can't wait to see him compete again. Andy Black comes away with 25 points, and that is good for 6th place. 5th place goes to Mark Felix, the ageless wonder. Mid-pack for Mark at his age, unbelievable. He seems to just never decline. It's unbelievable. 28 points for him. And then we have no fourth place, you say? No, we had a tie for third, and that goes to JF Caron and Trey Mitchell at 36.5 points. So how do we decide who's on the podium? Well, we'll see in a moment, because we also had a tie at first place between Alexei Novikov and Evan Singleton, both with 42 points. So as mentioned earlier, they used the winner of the Atlas Stones, or who did better in the Atlas Stones, as a tiebreaker. And since Evan Singleton did better than Alexei Novikov at the Atlas Stones, your winner for the Arnold UK Strongman 2021 is Evan T-Rex Singleton. Second place goes to Alexei Novikov, and third place goes to Trey Mitchell because he outdid JF Caron on the Stones for the same reasoning. So unbelievable. That's your podium. Evan Singleton, Alexei Novikov, and Trey Mitchell. Congratulations, guys, on making the podium at the first ever Arnold's UK Strongman 2021. Thanks again for joining me on my blog, Strongest Man, and of course, until next time, as always, ciao, homie.